Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. We talked about Jason Tatum's great night in a 117-114 win over the Cavaliers, bouncing back from the Knicks loss that frustrated this team a couple nights ago, getting Jaylen Brown back good. But you get healthy again, more tough rotation decisions.
Yeah.
And Grant Williams receives a DNP, 0 minutes in this win tonight. First time all season he's been a healthy scratch. Mike Muscala plays the first rotation at big man, moves over the 4 after that, shoots 0 for 3, so you didn't get a great night from him, -2. But the real trade-off, I guess, is Sam Hauser, Grant Williams. 8 minutes from Hauser, 2 of 4 3-point shooting. You're getting good defense from him right now. So those two guys, in essence, push Grant out of the rotation tonight. Here's how Joe Mazzulla described what led him to make that decision.
Matchup versatility has generally been a strength of his. So what was it about tonight's matchup that made you want to go with Mike instead?
Just matchups on the offensive end, as far as spacing the floor and having rim protection. And so when Mike was in, we were able to play a different defensive lineup. Didn't want to switch these guys as much in that second unit. And so they played, because of their sub pattern, we went with a bigger, and we were able to stay in 13 a little bit more and not switch that second unit, which is big for us.
So what do you think?
I mean, look, the matchups, that's always the go-to for most coaches, right? When they don't really want to get into the decision. But honestly, I think with this matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, considering what happened, those first 2 losses at the beginning of the season, I think you just want to give them something different. Give them another threat from deep. When you got 2 guys that can obviously shoot it, Sam Hauser hit 1, but then like you talked about, the defense, I think both of them gave you solid performances. Even though it wasn't the kind of performance where you think, well, of course Grant didn't play. He made 4 or 5 3-pointers. Mike Muscala was the reason why. Even though that wasn't the case on paper, I can see why he did it. I can see the tactic behind it to give that threat. An opposing threat, essentially coming off the bench. And I think it did pay dividends, but I don't think it was the story of the game. I think the story of the game is what you got from the 2 starters, and Robert Williams and Al Horford. You got a double-double out of those guys. I think you got one heck of a performance out of Robert Williams. Considering what we've seen thus far, since the All-Star break, you wanted to see him bounce back that way. And I think that was a big reason why Joe Mazzulla thought to himself, well, let's just keep Grant on the bench, because these guys are killing it. And right now, with the double-digit lead intact, I didn't see him switching it up, especially in that second half.
He was great tonight, for sure. Horford, Rob. So those guys can go longer.
Season high for Al, right.
I love the rotations overall. You go triple guard to start the first into the bench unit. You got Tatum more rest throughout the flow of the game.
Right.
And you need to see what you have in Muscala. So I understand that. 3 games in a row he did not play.
That's a good test for him.
Before this. So you're going to have to integrate him. You're going to have to play him in different spots. I didn't love him at the 4. Thought he played solid 5 minutes, so they'll figure out how to use him. The Hauser thing, I get it. He's shooting better than Grant right now.
Yeah.
Grant brings you more upside overall, I think, though, at that position. And you know what you have in Grant, even if he struggles for a bit, even if he's dealing with different defensive coverages. And that's the biggest thing we're seeing from him right now is he's getting run out of the corner. So he needs to find his spot on offense to produce. I don't think this was a matchup thing tonight, though. Indiana, you could have argued, smaller team. They're playing a bunch of wings. They're spreading the floor. You could go small and you could get your big men off the floor. In this game, you're mostly facing 2 big men all game. So Grant, a year ago, even 2 months ago, plays in this game and plays a ton in this game.
Oh, no question. But think about what this team was a couple of months ago, right? I don't think you have this version of Sam Hauser, and you don't have another threat coming off the bench from deep in Muscala. So I think, again, it's another angle that he's going to throw out there. These two do meet up in a best-of-7 series. It'll be one heck of a matchup between the Celtics and the Cavaliers, and I think Joe Mazzulla knows that, and giving those guys another look of what this team, another dimension of what this team is made of, is good in the long run. Look, in a best-of-7 series, does Grant play? Absolutely. I don't think that's going to be the case if these 2 teams do meet in a best-of-7 matchup, but hopefully this galvanizes him, because he's been kind of cold lately. He's not the same player he was, especially what we saw in the postseason, and especially when we were talking about a potential contract extension at the very beginning of the season, and look where we are now. You can see why Celtics were a bit hesitant, especially when you think about the reports that were out there and the figure that Grant and his people are asking for. And look, obviously I don't think that's the reason why he was benched.
Yep.
I don't think those negotiations are the reason that led to this decision. However, when you consider the matchups and the fact that this Cleveland team plays the Celtics really well, I can see why Joe Mazzulla just wanted to throw a curveball.
Yeah, for sure. And It does matter. He needs to work his way back into the rotation by the time the playoffs come around. He looked frustrated tonight, didn't talk.
He should be.
I talked to him in Philly about the 6 minutes he played against Indiana, which is what really tipped us off that something strange was going on with his spot in the rotation.
Right
And he
after the
said
break,
it's frustrating. He just trusts the coaching staff, trusts the players around him. They have 15, 17 guys who can really play. But it will be frustrating for him, he said, after a loss. And they win tonight. Think you would have been a little more accepting of it, but 0 minutes is tough. You saw him on the sideline, not his jovial self.
Yeah.
He's going through it right now, and I'm sure free agency adds some extra pressure to that.
Absolutely.
And the Celtics have to create some leverage on him from a management standpoint. If he leaves, that you can have Muscala, you still have Gallinari. So I get it. But I believe in him. I think he should be in the rotation, as you said, once the playoffs come around. And if they do make a decision and say, we got Hauser, we got Muscala, we got this array of guys,
Right. Al,
Horford
Rob.
extended as well,
Yeah.
and let him go, I still think that's a mistake, especially if it's a number
Really?
that you can swallow. Because I think he's
Yeah.
important. You see him against Milwaukee, you see him against Philly, played big minutes against Philly.
Right, but we were waiting for him to return to that guy. I mean, I think that's a big part of this. And look, maybe he does in the postseason. Again, maybe this motivates him, and we see the Grant that, Joe Mazzulla knows that he can be. However, I think this is a great message. I think it's a great lesson for Grant that, you are replaceable. I mean, sure, you were on this team. Sure, you played valuable minutes in the NBA Finals, but this team's involved. It's evolved in a big way since last season. It's a different team. Its characteristics is different, and the way they defend is different. In terms of their scoring, this offense, this isn't what we saw last year. It's even better. So again, I mean, you have to remember, if you're Grant, that one, you're replaceable, and two, that you have to step it up. Like, you have to earn that spot. It's not going to just be there set in stone, especially a player of his caliber at this stage of his career.
Agreed. What do you think? Should Grant play more? Do you like the fact that they can possibly replace him with these guys? Let us know below. And show our sponsors some love. BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/garden. Going to get you 10% off your first month. Connect you with licensed therapists over there. And if you just need to speak to someone, it's easy, direct, and you can find the right option for you in terms of therapists. That's very important. That's betterhelp.com/garden for 10% off your first month. And Athletic Greens, athleticgreens.com/garden is going to get you 5 free travel packs as well as a year's supply of vitamin D. It's vitamins, it's minerals, it's probiotics. You just pour it in your water each morning, and you're getting all of those for your day. And it's an energy boost, it has a nice tropical flavor, and the reviews are outstanding. You don't have to take our word for it. That's athleticgreens.com/garden. 0 minutes for Grant. I know 117-114 win over the Cavaliers. A good decision tonight, but it leaves the Celtics with questions going forward about their rotation. Josue Pavone and Bobby Manning from TD Garden. We'll be back here on Friday for Celtics Nets and see where Grant stands then.